Okay, today's late Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. I've been recording, as many videos as I could about all the various things here and there, whatever the spirit moves through me in the way that it does and moves me to do this and that. Now, what else? Regarding updates generally in life, who knows what could be said. I meant to make this video, gosh, and I started now. I can hardly remember what I wanted to say. In some capacity, my memory is worse, like significantly worse. But here's one thing I wanted to bring up that I found to be interesting enough that regardless of whether or not I'd mention it in passing in my other subject-oriented videos on this and that and this and that, I wanted to mention this experience because it actually is kind of sort of almost profoundly shaped me in a sort of way, or had me realize things from just a new sort of experience. Consider this. And maybe this was I meant to do this about a couple weeks ago actually when it initially happened, but that's how far behind I am on most things. On most things I mean to do, I'm probably a few to several weeks behind on most things regarding what I have going, transitioning in my mind, head, and awareness versus what's actually output, spoken, written down, or recorded or indicated. And it's a small percentage, and there's constantly a giant proportion of things that I mean to form out that never gets formed. Largely because nobody's around me helping me organize with the base level structure. About a couple weeks ago, I spent a couple days or nights out of my home, and I was in Jersey from New York. And, I just really had one of the most eye-opening and also a little frustrating and also kind of like sad, dawning realization set on and occur, really, in regards to someone, but not just the someone who I was dealing with. It transcended that and had me realize something. Let me put it to you this way. When somebody, let's say you see somebody mistreating somebody else, for example, and you're a witness to this, or you know them, or you somehow become involved directly or semi-directly, and you will have some feeling or understanding about what's going on. You'll feel what? Anger towards the person who's the wrongdoer, or let's say perpetrator, and towards the person who is the one who's receiving something that you feel is unmerited. You would say, you'd go and say, I feel bad for that person. It's a natural emotion that you would find and figure in your heart. The way you will perceive this person change. What the hell's going on? The way you perceive the person will change. The way you treat the person will change. This all has to do with the encoding or the aspect of one's what can we say, emotional psychological broadcast called empathy. Very, very important. There's empathy and the related things in accordance with that. So you feel bad for the person, but consider this: you can only really feel bad for a human being, or say an animal that's mistreated, something like this, right? Consciousness. You don't feel bad in the same way for, let's say, like a piece of rock or something that falls and it breaks and something like this has happened. You feel bad about a circumstance generally and for the people involved, but it's not the same when you're dealing with things, right? So now, moving up from the level of things, up through the materialized forms of consciousness we call, human and existential life here. But what else moves on? We have this higher thing. It's both abstract and real and conceptual, called God. Now, people's relationship with God is a very funny thing. It's interesting, it's unique, it's Many things could be said about it, but we're going to continue to say this. And proceeding with the understanding of God, we find that when God's framework itself is violated, as is come to be understood, you know that as part of your experience, let's say God's framework might include, hey, well, one doesn't steal and shouldn't steal from another. Very basically put, okay? Well, you wouldn't then go, man, I watched this person steal from another, or I experienced that done unto me. You will get angry at the person who's responsible. You will feel bad for the other human being that's responsible, if anything. But continuing here, continuing this now again. Some interruptions here. Yeah, New York life, right? What else now? You see, you feel bad for the people, but what is less natural almost to have occur to you? Okay? Right? Even people who consider themselves as good people in a kind of sense, when they see things like betrayal and other, sad things, they don't go, oh God, I feel so bad for God himself. You see, almost everybody falls short of the capability to do that. Realistically, perhaps knowledge of God might include an awakening, a resonation of even feeling for God himself empathically. It's a difficult thing to consider. It's almost unnatural in a seeming kind of way. But is it a capacity that is awakenable? And if so, does it correspond to what should rightly onset onto someone who's advancing and developing? I'll tell you something very interesting now. I don't have kids of my own, but I'm going to tell you an idea that I've picked up and heard from other parents that say that, for example, there's almost an indescribable sort of pain that onsets when, let's say you have multiple children, and when the parent will see your own child, one of them turning to the other child of yours that you have, who are siblings to each other, the brothers and sisters to each other, and they're hurting each other. And that one of your children is receiving pain due to the actions of one of your own other children. When you see that happen in front of you, I've heard at least one or multiple sources say that is one of the most indescribably painful experiences that you can process physiologically, physically, emotionally as a human being. Very interesting, right? Well, especially if you have empathy, you surely would. And neurotypicality and all that. Not everybody's like that, but anyway. Okay. So for people who don't have multiple children who then experience that, it doesn't even occur to you. You don't know the distinct what that's really like until you go through it. Right. I'm going to draw the analogy now. You don't even know, most of you, if you have this experience, let me know. Even I have never had this experience quite to this fullest extent until I had it a couple weeks ago or so, based on what I was experiencing and seeing from somebody else while I was out of New York. I literally experienced something and then further witnessed something that to me was just God. It was almost analogous to the same experience as if it were one of your own children harming another one of your own children. It's like that, but then extended further to the point that I instinctively, intuitively, perhaps for the first time ever in my life, really brought into convergence the essence and understanding of God relationally, to the point that I actually felt bad for God himself. It's almost hard to describe now, Because when you're going through it, it's like, oh, you can't even describe it in words. Like, I emotionally, intuitively, instinctively felt bad for God about the offense I was experiencing and witnessing. It was like, God, I am so sorry that you have to go through with this. It's almost hard to re-describe on here on a recording weeks later. But, man, and then, of course, it's like, wow, I've never felt that way before. I didn't think that was possible to this degree until you live it. And then you're like, yeah. God's like, yeah, most of my so-called children on earth don't even know me or understand me or relate to me what I go through. You just did. You naturally, instinctively felt bad for me, for God. Good. Welcome up to a slightly higher level. All part of the course, perhaps. We don't know. Maybe. It's profoundly, like, that left a mark on me. For maybe 3-4 days, I came back to New York and I was just like, fuck, like, I can't describe, one of the most unique experiences of my life. Yeah. I might make a rebuke video about the human being that happened to be involved. I should, I know that. And yet it's so hard physically to, like, all the things I have to do duty-wise from what I feel and have figured planned has to correspond to the physical. Boy, in the physical, it's like I'm butter being spread and scraped over too much bread. But constantly, and this is for years, chronic. I adapt to survive it, but I'm still never completing on the things in front of me to do. I'm always tremendously behind and always slowing down further, or the pace is always accelerating faster, even at faster rates than what I'm able to do. Until something changes circumstantially, it's just going to keep being that. So to that level, one abandons it and says, look, God, I'm doing everything I can, so the rest is up to you. And once you do that, then it will go as it goes, because then that's just the will. That's the constraints of the physical reality. But people, it hurts God when shit gets fucked up. Okay? You people don't realize this. Think about yourselves. Until the day it occurs to any single one of you, and hopefully every single one of you one day in this world in existence, that the disgusting things that happen and the ugly actions and ways of being of people, of human beings around you who you trust, who you know, are become vulnerable with, only to see, you know, in context, it's like, oh God, it can't be this bad. Oh, of course, another surprise / it shouldn't be surprising, yet it somehow still is, and on and on. It's people. It's the broken human nature of today that we're here to fix. The whole thing and beyond. I wish that wisdom upon everybody on earth. It doesn't come, by the way, until you appoint yourself to be, so to speak, sounds a little corny, but like a moral soldier. Okay? It doesn't happen until at least years into you self-deciding you're going to become a ritual rebuker and a self-rebuilder. It doesn't happen until then, and then not until deep into that. And then it'll occur naturally. You can't force it, but the day you just suddenly encounter, because you're going to encounter more stuff because you're aware of more crap, which then prompts your self-purification even more. Though regardless of how you seem to the world, to everybody else, who knows? Everybody has their own special mission and their own way to carry out the will of God. But it's amazing. That's update number 1. I've said enough. I just got reminded of update number 2. Somebody walked by me and so I have this thing where I could smell people's emotions, essence, personality, vibratory things. Match that to prophecy however you want to. Whatever. We know. Those who know, okay. That's crazy, number 1, if true. Those who know me really know it's true. And then those who don't really, really know me go, oh wow, but are you just like saying that because you know that's the thing, and so you're like framing it like that? No, it's not just a frame. Before I knew anything about Mashiach, for years I was like, everybody around me knew, like, that's the super smell agent of planet Earth. Unbelievable. So I could smell people's vibratory things, right? But over the last couple years, this for the first time got like significantly weaker. It was strong for a few years. Probably I was at my peak around 2017, 2018, maybe 2019, and then things got a little funny slowly year after year after year. And then the last couple of years was like significantly reduced. So one of my things has been trying to bring this back out. It's extremely complex to begin to describe. There's a lot of overlapping things, and it would take series of videos to discuss just this. But in short, I did a number of things recently in my own way to try to see if I could bring back or recorrect some of these hyper acuity, hyper perceptive sensory and smell, and that also corresponds to moral discernment, believe it or not. It's true. Because also what's funny is that in opposition to the tendency and trend over the last, let's say, 3, 4, 5 plus years, is something that then started happening maybe within the last few weeks. Okay, it's almost undescribable. It's like suddenly gravity reverse direction for me. I started resharpening up again. And because this started happening, I started resharpening up again, and I noticed this, and I was like, huh. And then week after week after week, got a little stronger, and then I got a little more insight, and then figured, okay, well, hold on, there's different ways I could do certain different things in a certain specialized way to see if I could break through back into the thing. So I tried something recently now, last couple days, few days. Today I could say it worked. It worked. All of a sudden, all my smell power returned. To a very large extent, closer back to what it used to be in its peak years ago. I woke up today, walked outside, I'm like, yeah, wow, I could smell the plastic coming off of things, and by the individual different smells and tones of the plastic. That's unbelievable. That's not a normal human capacity, by the way. So there's that. Humans' emission of smell became much sharper. I miss that. I love that. I read the whole life story of every person who walks by me just from smell. You wouldn't believe how much is emitted. You wouldn't believe how much is cast. People are transparent. You don't see yourselves because it's a distinct human condition thing. You go through what I went through, you know, brain trauma, research, chemical induced near death, brain nervous system reset, etc., etc., and then with that and more things, I'm not human in that same sense. It's just true. Crazy. No fear, zero fear. Okay, I even tried in the last few weeks to do everything possible through adversarial loading. You know, I'm not playing around with like drugs and research chemicals beyond things of the standard diet and like this. Otherwise, I'm proudly sober for years now and like this. But continuing, you know, there's that. What else could I say? Just that's good. Working out well. And prophetically, the track of things, it's unbelievable how spot on. Everything that I see is going to happen, happens. It's like an implicit energetic script that I receive in advance to read things, see, and everything is locked into the constraint of that and keeps rolling out exactly how I see it's going. I have been wrong about any sub-aspect of any single aspect of anything happening around me in this life, in this narrative, about any part of anything, ever, even once. Prophetically speaking, in that sense. Like largely, substantively. Everything is, I can't almost even put words into it, but everything is going according to the thing. That's all I could say. I mean, I'm just going to sit right here and continue everything play out. Everything's going to play out exactly as it's playing out. That's it. I run around in the streets yelling at people, yo, people, you have no hope, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because it is hope. That's actually the new hope. Right? So, I mean, God, you can't imagine the feeling of like, we have reality cornered. That's it. I'm more confident now than I ever was before. I'm more fucking, like, that's it. Every piece of this is exactly what is. There's no words. That's it. See ya.